Hello, and welcome back to Saron Things, your favorite pop culture podcast. I am your host, Saron Olkaba. How do you guys diddly do? I am so glad to have you back this week. We have much to discuss. Of course, there is Scamandival, West TD Gate, the leaks of the Summer House reunion that we must discuss. And of course, there's Klay Thompson's trifling ass cheating on Megan the Stallion. What else? I don't watch the show. But McBee Dynasty, that fucking freak show, and his text messages to his now ex-girlfriend. And then there is Michelle from the Valley. Her and Dr. Dre apparently are a thing. Let's just dive right on in with Main Character Things, the segment where I regale you with stories of my life as of recent. I don't have a lot of tea to spill this week, which is probably a good thing, other than the fact that I did go on a date. And I had high hopes for this man. He was tall. He was accomplished. He seemed interesting enough, okay? I live in Washington, D.C., so there are two things that are very easy to come by when you're dating, and that's a liberal man and an intelligent man. But there's a lot in between there that can be problematic. So personally, I have been making content and I've been doing this whole social media, podcasting, public figure thing for a couple of years now. My career otherwise has been as a political consultant. I focus on marketing and comms, PR for Democratic political candidates and organizations that align with my value system. I don't really lead with the whole content creation foot, but as time goes on, it becomes very difficult to not include that in the conversation, especially if someone asks me what I did that day. If I spend a big chunk of my day recording a podcast or doing research for X, Y, or Z that has to do with my content creation career, I'm not going to lie about that because ultimately that doesn't serve me because the person I date must know this eventually. And it's certainly not something that I'm ashamed of. It came up during this date. This man lost his ever motherfucking loving mind. He spent such a big chunk of this date trying to quiz me, trying to test me. At some point, he was like, so the Speaker of the House, do you know who the Speaker of the House is? Do you know who the Speaker of the House is? Yes, you stupid fuck, I do. But I also don't feel like complimenting you by acquiescing to your test. And I understand that dating at some level is a test. Okay, especially those early days. You need to figure out whether this person is on your level in certain aspects, can keep up, has the same value system as you, etc. What this guy was doing was very much like, oh, is she a dumb bitch? She's just like into pop culture. She like loves Bravo, which is so crazy because on my Hinge profile, I explicitly state, big fan of Bravo. I spend my time equal parts watching the news and paying attention to celebrity gossip. It's a 1-to-1 ratio here. I don't know whether there was something about my personality that like really ticked him off at some point or made him feel like he had to push me, but he just kept fucking pecking at me. And I'm not really even usually one that picks up on that. Maybe it's because I've been rather lucky in my dating experience. I don't usually have bad dates. I can have a good time with basically anyone. But this guy, my whole thing is women contain multitudes. I can enjoy things that are highbrow or considered lowbrow. It's the patriarchy telling us that certain things are, especially that women enjoy, are not to be respected. And so when I can tell there's a man that very much prescribes to that mentality, it turns me off aggressively and it makes me want to be combative. So I was. We were at a lovely little speakeasy. I've mentioned this before. When I have a bad date and I just kind of want to wash my hands of the entire experience, it doesn't happen very often, but when I do, I demand to pay for that check. Okay, I'm paying for the check and then I'm going to delete your number and I'm going to just pretend like it never happened. I don't want anyone out in the universe thinking that they are owed something by me because they bought me a fucking dirty martini. Please. Part of me at the end of it was like, does he think that there is a potential for like another conversation, let alone another date? Never. Absolutely not. Some people think that like that kind of, what would you call that? Like negging turns a girl on? Not me. I need you to be very nice to me from beginning to end, every day, from sun up to sundown. First date till the day you motherfucking die, homie. Like, I don't enjoy being negged. I like debate. I like good-natured, good faith debates and banter. Nothing that makes me feel like, oh, you're trying to test me or like look down at me. He was asking me the most asinine questions about like fucking Congress. Also, they were so basic that it made me feel like, wait, is this as complex as you're able to think? But at the same time, like, I'm not going to be spending this evening testing someone in this way because I'm not your civics teacher. I'm not being paid to make sure that you understand the different branches of government. I barely spoke during the entire time, other than when I was being like kind of facetious and a bit of an asshole, but oftentimes it struck me as he didn't even really understand. So there's that. And I also blame you guys because you told me, you said, date, Saron. Keep going, Saron. And this is what I get. At least he was tall. That's my thing. My next man, he's going to be tall. I'm 5'9". Listen, okay, you know what? I take that back. My husband, my life partner, he absolutely does not have to be tall. I would just like to hook up with a handful of very tall, hot men before I land on whoever my life partner for Evsies is going to be. Okay? Let me just be very honest about that. I'm attracted to men of all heights. I feel like I'm actually going to probably end up with someone like at 5'11". Smart man, 5'11". I don't know. I just want to take a couple like 6'3", 6'4"s for a whirl before I settle down. Is there anything so wrong with that? I don't know. But it won't be this fella. He might have been 6'4". He was very fucking tall. Very annoying with his little Patagonia vest. I can't. And I did block him in the Uber on the way home. We'll never hear about him or from him again. But yeah, that was my fun update from this past week. Now let's just dive right on into pop culture tings. And of course, we must start with last episode of Summer House recap. Kyle and I are starting fresh. All right, we're going to turn the page. I do not want to hear anything about two things can be true at once. Like Amanda can be a psycho bitch and Kyle can be the worst. Absolutely, you're correct. But at the same time, I don't know Kyle without my perception of him being clouded by Amanda's bullshit. So I owe it to him to flip the page, start over fresh. Of course, I will always side-eye him because of Hannah. Until he and Hannah can get on like a good page together, then we'll never be at a hundo. I'll be very honest with you, but I do owe him a little bit of space to prove himself to not be as big of an asshole as his relationship with Amanda hath made him seem. So there's that. Speaking of Amanda, in this last episode, she had the audacity to not come, which I respect. Okay, I am a big proponent of just not doing the things that you don't want to do. If you felt like your spirit was too heavy to be in that house that weekend, of course, stay home, rest in bed with the doggies. I respect that. But to come in at the end of the day via phone to just rain on their motherfucking parade, and the fact that the only thing that you had to say was, damn, after Wes said he had the best day of his summer and you were offended because you weren't there and like, how dare he? Red motherfucking flag. This was one of those moments where had I not known that she was a trifling wench and he was an even fuckier of a fuckboy than I once thought, I would have just completely not even recognized it. I would have thought, oh, that's just Amanda being her, stick in the mud self. But no, there are layers there, guys. And also, Kyle talking about their text chain how she has not responded to him in what seems like a year. That's so fucked. I can't even imagine. Do you know how disrespectful it is to just never respond to your husband? Ever? For any reason? Oh, yeah, I arrived in the Hamptons. Oh, we're about to go out on a boat. I got back home safe. I'm picking up lunch now. Are you alive? Nothing. And the only time she responds is when West was like, oh, I'm having a great day in the group chat. And she says, damn, are you joking? Are you fucking kidding me? That is so crazy to me. And then that makes me think back to the episode before where he stumbles drunkenly up to her cutout, her cardboard cutout, and he looks at the cutout of Amanda and he kisses the fucking cutout, guys. He is obsessed with her. He loves the shit out of that girl. And it made me just think, like, why did you marry him at all? She keeps saying, I don't think I can do better. I'll never be able to do better than him. Is that why you married Kyle? Not because you are in love with him, obsessed with him, but you just didn't think you would ever be able to do better than him? Therefore, you resented him the entire fucking time. And she describes their relationship or their love story in this past episode. She's talking about how she described it to their couples therapist. And she was like, there is no love story. All she describes is like trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma. And she specifically says that all of my issues are like prior to us getting married, and all of his issues are now. Why did you marry this man then? If you're not going to be able to like let go of anything he's ever done, like why did you marry him? Paige literally looked you in the face and said, you don't got to do this, babe. You can back out. But part of me is like, she loves being the fucking victim. She loves having someone to point at for all of her shortcomings. And I'm going to be very straight with you when I say I would not have been saying this had we not found out everything we did about her and West. She has given me trust issues, guys. I can't imagine how Ciara feels. Speaking of, I was watching Stassi with Tay, Stassi Schroeder and Taylor Strecker's podcast on Netflix. Stassi was talking about the parallels between what happened with Kristen and Jax and her versus what's happening with Ciara and West and Amanda. And it surprised me, the angle she took. She said she really struggled to make new friends after that betrayal and that trauma. Not only that, every person she dated after that, she had a hard time leaving that man alone after dark. Even like if it was just with her friends, it didn't make a difference because that's what really fucked her over before. She did that once. She let her boyfriend hang out with one of her best friends and they fucked behind her back. And that really fucked her up moving forward. Like, how is she meant to trust any new friend if like one of her oldest and dearest was able to do that to her for no goddamn reason? How is she ever going to trust a man that she dates to be out late at night ever, even with her friends? Because the people that she should have felt most comfortable having her man around happily betrayed her, and that really fucked her up moving forward. And she said that that made her sad for Ciara because she knows how like mentally this kind of betrayal from one of your best friends with a guy that you dated or really cared for or was falling in love with, which was very clear this past episode. Homegirl's in love with that man. How that's going to impact her moving forward. It's inevitable that it's going to change the way that she moves around people. And Ciara was obviously very guarded to begin with. She's a serious gal. She said this past episode, one of her things that she's working on is not being so damn rigid and boundaried. It's such a joke because like if anyone knows that, it's Amanda. And at Carl's soft launch party, Amanda even says, when Jesse says that, oh yeah, West and Ciara are about to have dinner with Sabrina and Ben, she's like, I don't know if Ciara can handle just like being friendly or friends with West. He needs to be very careful. that signals to me she understands the depth of Ciara's feelings for that man, despite the 2 years in between their relationship. Like, she knows exactly what Ciara's feeling. She knows how deep that shit runs. In that moment, used it to seem like she was Ciara's protector. She's just looking out for her. She doesn't want Wes to fuck her over because she knows just like how deeply Ciara feels for him. So she's saying, maybe you guys should not be so close. No, bitch, you want her man. It's not her man, but it's her man. It should be her man in your mind. Whether or not they were together last week, the day before, a year before, 5 years before, that's her man. Or at least it should be in your mind. She knew what she was doing, and yet she did do it. It's just so sick and twisted. And then we have like West, after they like made up. I don't know who said to him at the house, like, oh, summer's almost over. And he's like, yeah, man, my summer just started, implying that the fact that Ciara hath decided to forgive him meant so much to him that he was like, yeah, now my summer gets to start. How did we get from this? And you're going to hear me say this week after week because it blows my mind every single episode. How did we get from West and Amanda being these people to Ciara to doing that to Ciara in less than 6 fucking months? It's mind boggling. Okay. And then other things happened during Carl's soft launch. Obviously, Carl's mother was there. His mom and Lindsay don't have exactly a warm and fuzzy relationship. She was the one who talked him out of marrying Lindsay. I like Carl's mom. I think she's a sweetie. I think she has a good heart, and I think she was right for talking Carl out of marrying Lindsay. It was for the best, for not just Carl, but also for Lindsay. Lindsay is in a much better place than she would have been had she married Carl. That said, Lindsay was not warm to that woman when she came up to say hello to her, and I completely respect that and I understand it. I actually celebrate it. I saw someone online say they weren't on a good page, but I do prescribe to respecting my elders, so I really don't like how Lindsay behaved. I don't prescribe to that at all. What do you mean, respect my elders? At what point does that have to fucking cut off? We're in our 30s now. We're adults. At some point, the elders are our peers. If that woman is no longer your fiance's mother, but just a woman who is unnecessarily, at least she feels critical of her and misunderstanding of her, at what point does she have to be polite to her? She was polite to her, frankly. She just wasn't warm, and I respect that. Like, be honest, Lindsay, be yourself. Lindsay has a very hard time not behaving accordingly to her feelings, and I respect that. Like, she's not a fake bitch, and it is what it is. Like, it can be a problem, but right now for me, it's not. So what else about Lindsay? We found out that she's distanced herself from Danielle since last season because she saw Danielle's confessionals where she was being weird as fuck. And I said this last season myself. How dare Danielle come into Lindsay's situation or comment on her situation as if she's some kind of authority on what a woman having a baby in this circumstance should do? You don't know shit. You have not proven yourself to be an authority at any level. I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck you're a CEO of. What is it, Danny? What the fuck was that app called? It was a disaster. Whatever it was an absolute disaster. And it's not even just like the business aspect. It's just her demeanor is so shitty. She kept on implying that Lindsay had to make some major changes in her life and couldn't expect to like still be on the show and be doing this shit as a mother. If she's your good friend, you have those conversations off camera. You make sure you're aligned because it has a lot to do with how your best friend is perceived in the world. It's hard enough for her alone all alone on her own, trying to figure out how to navigate this unique career at this different stage of her life without her best friend in confessionals, like talking shit about how she's doomed for failure, how none of it makes sense, how it's really silly that she's even doing this with her ex. Like, Danielle is a loser. She's a fucking loser. And I know she said about Amanda being like a fucking stake in the grass before anyone else did. Sure, I'm glad she saw it. I'll give her props for that, for sure. Still, at the end of the day, would never want to hang out with her. I don't know. Everything else that I could say about Danielle would be just like too unnecessarily mean. Like, we can talk about this offline later. I just don't fuck with her at all. And I don't know that there's anything that could change my mind about that. Speaking of Lindsay, though, she was on Watch What Happens Live the other night, and she was looking beautiful per usual. And she was also wearing a beautiful tie made by Mija Moreno. Unfortunately, I do have to mention West. Right now, he wore a lighter color version of one of her ties, and he shouted her out. Turns out West and Mija were dating at that time, allegedly. That made me so happy to hear and see. First of all, Mija is incredibly fucking talented. She and I have communicated a little bit. All I'll say is she's not a thirsty girl in the slightest. She's funny and she seems delightful. I saw that she and Ciara are now friends on Instagram, and that made my heart leap. First of all, bad bitches unite, right? Like, that's always a good thing when two bad bitches unite. But also, I think Mija has a lot to say and is a very interesting aspect of this entire debacle. And like I said, she is not any kind of like thirsty wench, and she's not interested in interjecting herself like unnecessarily, but she also does know that she is necessary to the conversation. And eventually she shall speak. And when she does, I will amplify it aggressively as she deserves. But it did make me very happy to see that she and Ciara had been in communication, because in my like little lunatic fever dream, they become besties and, I don't know, take over the world together, I suppose. I don't know. Either way, I know that Mija is meant for like fabulous success as an artist and as a style queen. It's just, this was a weird way to get her like pop off, but it's just the beginning and I'm very excited about that. Onto the reunion leaks. What the fuck is wrong with Amanda? Why does she have such contempt for Ciara? It doesn't make any sense to me. A normal person would think that she would come into this bitch contrite. And all we can hear from her is, what did you expect me to be celibate? I'd like to remind you that in this last season, we saw Ciara say, you guys should probably take some time off. And I feel like we could get Amanda a husband in like a year. Like, Ciara wasn't about you being celibate. Ciara wanted you to win, Amanda. She wanted you to be in a happy, loving relationship that she thought you deserved as a decent human. You know that. You know it has nothing to do with needing you to be celibate until your divorce papers were signed. That was just such an easy thing for you to glom onto in order to have some kind of semblance of defense. No, the one human on this planet that would have broken Ciara's heart for you to hook up with would be West. You know that. You said as much in this last episode. So why are we talking about you? Did you want me to be celibate? Obviously not. And also, I just saw this picture of Amanda in bed with Katie DeLuca, I think is her name. She was brought up during the Summer House reunion when Ciara, it was a fabulous moment. Ciara was like, well, what if Katie DeLuca started hooking up with Kyle? I guess that's fine, fair game. And then Amanda starts explaining, Katie DeLuca is my best friend since the 3rd grade. And then Ciara goes, just hearing her mock Amanda like that, it's just so funny to me. So petty. Obviously not a mature thing to do, but like, that's not the point. Like, it's still fucking hilarious. And I'm glad that she did it. Anyways, I saw a picture of Amanda laying in bed with this white man with his arm around her, and his hand was like touching her like rear and thigh region. Mind you, Amanda's the one who posted this picture, okay? This is Katie DeLuca's husband. And it made me think, just, this is not how one operates around the men in your life. It's just not. I have many a guy friend. You aren't constantly draped around your homies. You aren't stroking your homies. Your homies aren't stroking your lower back in your thigh or choking you, and you're not asking them to watch your ass as you walk away. It's just not normal. I've never in my life come close to any situation that looks remotely like that picture that Amanda posted of her and Katie's husband with any of my friends' men ever. And is she a homie hopper? Or is she her homie's husband hopper? I don't know what to call it. It's a very unique situation. She does this thing where she hides in plain sight. Let's get back to the reunion. Not only was Amanda just an obstinate fuck. Remember how Wes in that video from his like podcast with that blonde lady was like, if someone got Amanda's number and called her a home-wrecking whore, which I do not believe, but he said, like, I wish you guys would just address all of your ire at me. Cut to the reunion, and every clip that was released, you heard West say maybe a couple of words. Not much at all. He wasn't defending her. And if we had any doubts about whether or not that was indicative of his behavior for the entirety of the reunion, we have Kyle in the comment section saying, no, he didn't have her back whatsoever. West was silent in that bitch. He had nothing to say in defense of himself, let alone in defense of Amanda. And that is so sad. And it's so sad to me that it was Kyle that had to bring that up or confirm it, because like Kyle wants to defend Amanda. Kyle was a shitty husband, but he loved Amanda. Like, you can tell via how he's acting right now, like it is in his instinct, it is in his soul to try to mitigate whatever pain or criticism that she is feeling right now. Which is so strange to me, considering for their entire relationship, he was the one that was consistently under fire for his behavior, and she loved it. Like, she really reveled in that shit. There was not a moment where she was like, let me, defend him or make him seem any better. But you can tell that man really loves her, which really makes me feel so sad. Anyways, Wes was not there for Amanda during the reunion. He just says what he thinks is going to sound right or will make him look better in the moment. So, of course, he's like, let me be the knight in shining armor during the podcast. Like, address this stuff towards me. The second that he's actually under fire or like feeling the heat, like, he's not going to be there. You think he's going to come into the reunion with like a thoughtful argument or like a real defense for himself or Amanda? Absolutely not. He's a blithering fuck. And then we see them at the end walking out. Amanda, I don't know who the fuck is advising her on really anything at this point. She's like in her sweats and like wrapped in a blanket. Not Lola, the blanket company. commenting saying, that's not one of ours. The amount of like brands and companies that have come out to like clown on both West and Amanda are incredible. Like I saw the Whitney Museum say, we're not going to let West Wilson or Klay Thompson in. And I don't know if Klay Thompson even knows that like the Whitney is a museum. West probably does. And that probably really fucking hurt his soul. And that made me very happy. So I'm going to give you a donation now. You'll see a check coming from me soon just for that social media post. It tickled me, bitch. It did. Because, he so cares about who fucks with him, who doesn't, how he's perceived. Also, that brings me to the conversation that we opened this last episode with, at least the end of it, where West had told Ciara that he started to resent her because of all of the negative backlash involving their relationship and the fallout. He has to direct his discomfort and unhappiness at someone and blame someone for it. It can't be Ciara now. It's too far gone for Ciara to be the person that he points his dissatisfaction with his own poor choices at. Right now, he and Amanda are in a little cocoon together. Not a cocoon that he necessarily wants to be in, but at least one that he has. There is no way that he is not going to end up resenting her at the end of all of this. Not even at the end. He probably resents her right in this moment. And mind you, I'm already seeing posts about like, oh, he was just active on Raya yesterday. You can see when the last time a person was on the app. There is no man that will resent you more than one who feels cornered into a relationship. I do not think that West likes her to the point where he wants to be in a relationship with her. Absolutely not. This is not the beginning of a relationship that's conducive to anything that's like long lasting between the two of them. Full stop. I hope they have PR and management that's explaining to them, you guys need to make this work for at least a while until like the fanfare and the anger about what the fuck you did to both Ciara and Kyle dies down, okay? I do not want to forget Kyle in all of this. We talk a lot about Ciara. Kyle was also fucked by his friend. It is batshit crazy that West would do this to Kyle. He literally started fucking his friend's estranged wife. That's not a normal thing to do. We require less of men, want less for men, if I'm going to be very honest. Like, I'm a lot less sensitive to a man's feelings when it comes to this kind of stuff. But I can acknowledge this is some fuck shit, and Kyle is allowed to have just as like loud feelings about this betrayal from West as Ciara is from Amanda. Although I do think it's a little bit harder for Kyle to get sympathy because it's so obvious that like his life has gotten so much better without Amanda. Sans her sullen, droopy, judgy, whiny ass being in his ear day in and day out, you can tell this man is just thriving. So it's a little harder for people to kind of be sad for him. But at the same time, it's not as though Ciara's life has gotten worse since this news had come to light. But the thing is, her life was always on an upward trajectory. She's a supermodel, nurse angel, supermodel baby. It was always going to be okay for her, at least in the public eye. This is just kind of like helped catapult her in the direction she was always going. This breakup and then the scandal turned shit around for Kyle in a way that there is no way he could have ever fucking predicted. And I'm happy for him. Truly, I'm just happy for the both of them on basically every level. There are a lot of jokes going around about how if I was Ciara, I would come back next season married to Kyle, pregnant with his baby, having him like, and I stay at home every night watching movies and him never being out on the town just to prove a point. No. I don't see that happening, nor do I recommend it personally, just like I don't recommend Ciara being cast on The Bachelorette. Like, sometimes the most obvious choices are not the best ones for the parties involved. I just see them sprouting their wings and flapping away in joy. Different directions, but still good friends. Let's not hope for Ciara and Kyle to become a couple. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. That idea actually, frankly, stresses me out. So, I think that's it. When it comes to Summer House, I'm sure that'll be a dozen different things that come to light before I go to sleep tonight. But for now, that is all. Next subject, let's talk about Klay Thompson cheating on Megan Thee Stallion. I honestly do not have too much to say about this beyond gross. I'm disgusted by him because who the fuck do you cheat on Megan Thee Stallion with? Like, I don't know who the next girl would be. What would she look like? How funny and stunning and interesting and sexy and talented does this girl have to be for you to risk Megan Thee Stallion? And one of my favorite content creators, lawyer content creators, not actually Golden, made a very good point about how her major qualms with Klay Thompson don't really have much to do with him being a pervert fuck, but the fact that Megan Thee Stallion is all alone on her own right now. Not only is she an orphan, she lost her best friend, her childhood best friend, because that freak decided to side with Tory Lanez after that man shot her in the leg. She's by herself. And then Klay Thompson decides to come into the picture and say, you know what? Let's do this. He brings her into his family. Says, okay, you'll be at the holidays with me. You're going to get to know my mom, my dad. We're going to get close. I'm going to call you my girlfriend. I'm going to buy you a house. I'm going to get you a Bentley. I'm going to plan you a birthday. I am going to embrace you as family. And then one day you're going to wake up, find out I cheated on you. And I'm going to tell you, you know what? Maybe I'm not into this whole monogamy thing. That's so fucking sick and twisted. I can't even imagine. I didn't think about that until Not Actually Golden brought it up. I was thinking about it in the terms I originally brought up. Like, who could possibly be better than Megan Thee Stallion? We all know men are trash, but what? And also, that's actually kind of a silly thing to say because every woman, there's a chance that you're about to get motherfucking cheated on. It doesn't matter how beautiful, stunning, perfect, talented, interesting, lovely you are. If Beyonce can get cheated on, if Halle Berry can get cheated on, anyone can get it. It has nothing to do with that. But then you have to add that layer of familial betrayal and loss. The fact that he didn't think, oh, before I endeavor to make this girl a part of my life, I have to keep in mind that she's in a uniquely fragile place. She doesn't have a mom. She doesn't have a dad. I'm going to bring her around my mom and my dad. She doesn't have anyone to hang out with on holidays. I'm going to bring her to my home for the holidays with my parents and make her feel like she's a part of a family. She is going to show me so much love. She will welcome me into her heart with open arms. Is my dick disciplined enough to handle this responsibility? What a dumb motherfucker. It's sick. It's twisted. And to end it with, I don't know if I can be monogamous after all of this. It seems like such a lazy way to end a relationship. What did you think she was going to look at you and say, you know what? Maybe we try non-monogamy. And to every freak show man who has, since this cheating scandal and breakup came out, was like, well, she's a hoe anyway. You can't turn a hoe into a housewife. What do you fucking mean? She's not the cheater. The hoe is Klay. She is just an artist who decided to take a chance on this man who lied to her about who he is, what he had to offer, what his soul was like, what he was ready for. She never lied to him about anything. Her career has been her career. She's not a cheater. He's the cheat. It's sick. And that's really all I have to say about the matter. Because what is more cliche than like a cheating athlete? Nothing. It's just the intricacies of her personal life, her familial life, the trauma that she's endured, not only just from the loss of her parents, but the loss of her childhood best friend by her best friend's choice. These are things that you should have considered before you decided to pursue a relationship with this sweet baby angel. God, men, I can't. Okay. Oh, speaking of men that I can't fucking deal with either, this McBee Dynasty nonsense. This McBee Dynasty, allegedly it's a show on Peacock. I don't watch it. It's about cowboys and whatnot. I don't know, nor do I care. I just know that there's a character named Stephen. Stephen McBee seems to be the namesake of the show. So Stephen McBee has a girlfriend. Her name is Allie. Allie went to Stagecoach, I believe. I don't know, some kind of concert. Stephen McBee allegedly gets a bunch of messages and video evidence in the night that his girlfriend Allie is being a big old whore, cheating on him. He sends her text message after text message. The nastiest, most vile shit. It was him calling her every kind of whore, every kind of slut, every kind of bitch. I think invoking the name of her dead parent or like some family member that had died in a weird ass way. No, like he was losing his mind. This is not how people speak to one another in really any moment. Those texts came out, and I usually do not bring up drama from shows that I do not watch, but I feel like the texts in this situation are like really indicative of what so many girls deal with, from like insecure conservative men looking for like a traditional woman. The thing is, Allie showed us the video that he was sent that set him off so much that he would call her everything but like a fucking child of God, that would invoke her like dead family. And it was just her standing there watching a show next to men. She wasn't touching anyone. She wasn't doing it. She was just standing there watching a show, wearing a big ass jacket, standing next to some dudes. And initially when Steven starts berating her with these text messages, she was like, wait, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just watching a show with like my friends. And he does this thing where he's like, you need to come home now, get your stuff. You need to get your stuff and get gone. And it was very clear that he was trying to control her in that moment by saying, you got to go and come here and get your stuff because I have the power, because I have your shit here. And if you don't get your shit, you don't know what's going to happen to it. So please get out of this situation, this completely benign, innocent situation that my bitch ass, completely insecure nonsense, fuck ass can't handle. Her response was, chef's fucking kiss. She said, burn it. She said, burn it, Toodles. Burn it. I don't need it. Bye-bye. Completely robbing him, stripping him of his power in that moment. And Allie, mazel tov, baby. That was perfection. I couldn't have told you to do better because you just took the absolute air out of his sails. Because that's all he had in that moment. He was like, I'm going to control her by telling her to leave, come back and get her stuff. And I have her stuff. I have the power. She said, yeah, I don't give a fuck about my stuff. You're a psychopath. I wish you well, you absolute fucking freak. But yeah, no, we're done. We're donezo here. And then she showed us exactly what happened, the context, and it's very clear that she was not in the wrong and he is unwell. He put out this video on Threads, like, very woe is me, like, my heart is broken. I just got cheated on by this girl and I didn't handle it very well, blah, blah, blah. And also I'd like to add that Kyle Cook did respond to him and said, Hey, brother. I hate when men call one another brother. Hey, brother. We've all been through it, blah, blah, blah. And this is after I had put out like a Instagram story saying, you know what, me and Kyle are going to turn the page. I saw that. I put it up on my stories and I said, Kyle, please, like, stop making me look stupid. And I don't generally repeat anything that I converse with people about in the DMs, even if I don't like them. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't behoove me or them, and it just doesn't make me feel good about like my integrity. That's kind of important to me. But I do believe he'd be okay with me saying this. He confirmed that he made that comment on Stephen McBee's page prior to the text messages coming out. And I absolutely believe him. I told him just like, next time, calma. Wait a second before you comment anything publicly on anything like that. That was like my consultant side coming into play, as if he was like one of my candidates. But just like, calm down. Just wait a second before you say something. Give it a cute 24 hours, especially when it doesn't have anything to do with you and your immediate situation. Nothing can hurt you by just waiting a little bit longer than you initially would want to. In fact, it could only help. So hopefully he takes that advice. Anyways, Allie, I don't know what your political party is. If it's not the one that I like, this is the last nice thing I ever say to you or about you. But good on you for the way that you responded. I saw that like one of his other exes commented and shared with the world her text messages with Mr. Stephen McBee, and they're equally as psychotic. Oh my God. Next, let us move on to Michelle and Dr. Dre. Listen, I can no longer watch The Valley. I can't. I do not find it interesting. I'm so bored. I think that Zach and Jasmine would be better served by like starting a podcast together, because I would listen to that. But everything else is just so fucking bleak. There's something about this cast where there is nothing aspirational about any of them. There's nothing aspirational about their humor, their intellect, their careers, their style, anything. Everything about them is just not great. And one would think that eliminating Jax would help the other things shine a little brighter, but his elimination just made it clear that all the show had going for it was like this deep, deep darkness. And now that the source of the darkness is gone, it's just bleak for bleak's sake. And Tom Schwartz is fine. Adds really nothing. He would for sure not be there had it not been for the show. Like, Tom Schwartz would never fucking speak to Michelle if it wasn't for the show. And also, speaking of, like, what a great segue. Imagine being between Tom Schwartz and Dr. Dre. The comments that I've seen since the news of Michelle and Dr. Dre dropped, a lot of them have been like, well, I hope Michelle knows how to fight. Didn't know that Dr. Dre was known to be a violent fella. Obviously, I would prefer that nothing bad happens to Michelle. Like, if I didn't know that Dr. Dre had like a violent past, and apparently the woman he was violent with was named Michelle also, that's insane. If I didn't know, there's no way that Michelle knows. There's no way. We're basically the same age. She might be a couple of years older than me, but like that was certainly not the top of my mind when I found out that they were dating. Jesse, I said in the video I put out after I found out about this new couple, I was like, I don't know how Jesse is going to respond to this. He's either like spiraling or he's so thrilled that this is like a new avenue for him to social climb. And his first response I saw was, I was wondering why Isabel was coming home with Beats. Makes me feel like the latter is true. He's just thrilled at the opportunity to social climb in this new echelon. And speaking of Jesse, so his girlfriend, Lacey, I like Lacey. I think she's lovely. And I was made a little bit more clear about her qualms with recording or filming last season. And everyone was like, she's like so litigious. She was sending everyone cease and desist. And she put out a video explaining exactly what happened. And it was that someone on the cast accused her of drinking and driving with the children in her car. And she's a divorcee as well. She has a child with her husband. And the accusation was that she drank and was drunk and was driving, I believe, Jesse's child, Isabella, as well as her own. And she explained it rather nicely. She was like, I thought it would be very thirsty to start filming this show with this man, even though we've only been dating for a couple of weeks. And then I found out that they were trying to talk about the fact that I did this thing, this illegal, felonious thing that I absolutely did not do on camera. Therefore, I reached out to a lawyer and I sent out a cease and desist, because having them talk about this thing that wasn't true on camera would be horrible for me and my custody arrangement and just like my life in general. And girl, she also explained that that was the first and last cease and desist she'd ever sent in her life. And now that it's been a year later, her relationship with Jesse is more established and she feels more comfortable. Then yeah, of course, she is now okay with filming. And guess what? I believe her. Frankly, I've never liked Michelle. There's something amiss with her. Her energy has always felt off to me. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I really enjoy how much of a boss bitch Lacey is, especially as it's to do with her relationship with Jesse. She's the boss. She is frank. She's clear. She is not trying to be likable, but also she's very clear about like her morals, her boundaries, and like what she expects. And I respect it. I immediately like her better than Michelle. Immediately. She obviously gets to the point much quicker than Michelle ever did, and that will always be like a winning formula for me. I do not like people who meander and like beat around the bush and take 15 fucking minutes to make one point. Lacey's not that person. Michelle very much is. Watching the after show with Michelle as she's discussing Lacey and Jesse's relationship is so funny because she is put off with Jesse's demeanor and respect for Lacey that he never had for Michelle. Listen, hate me if you want, but I immediately had more respect for Lacey than I ever did Michelle. So how am I going to blame Jesse for that? Anywhoozle, that's it for my feelings about the Valley. I assure you, this is the last that you'll ever hear me speak about the show as a whole. Like, I literally just can't make myself watch it week after week anymore. Like, I can't do it. It feels like a show that should be on TLC. That's dark. That's real dark. Holy shit, guys. It's already been so long. I have no more time to discuss anything else, but perhaps I'll put out a little mini-sode in a couple of days because we have a couple internet things to discuss that I'm very passionate about. Otherwise, thank you so much for chatting with me today or listening to me chat at you. I love you guys so much. Please do not forget to subscribe and leave me a comment and a nice review. I appreciate you guys so much and I can't wait to speak to you next week. Toodaloo!